Hey everyone, Margarita here. I want to talk in this video a little bit about how my mother was able to get some of these people involved in the ongoing crimes against me and some of the lies she was telling some of these people. First and foremost, she was telling people that I sell sex for a living and that I'm addicted to sex and that's how I make my money. So I'm not sure at what point that lie and delusion came into play, but I would definitely say minimally 5 years ago, but it could have been longer than that. But that's where she began schmoozing people and bribing them with promises of that's what they would get from me if they were able to pull off the job and get rid of me. And that's how she was telling people that they could easily get into my life. And then along the way, she also sent them to the establishments that I was working at. And they also came in there operating as if that were reality also. So there's numerous people that came in there and told on themselves regarding that matter. There was several other people that didn't come to the establishments who I know were also told those lies and delusions and believed that to be real. Each one of these people who did this, they all told on themselves along the way, because there has been, I will say for sure, 6 or 7 people just off the top of my head in the last, I'd say 5 or 6 years, that believe that to be reality. And they all directly said that to me or assumed that that's what I do. And each one of those people who thought that outright said it, you know, directly to my face. So that's how I know that she's been telling people that, because each one of these people were involved at some point um, in the organized crimes against me and trying to gain access to the rest of my missing stolen trust fund. So that's what she told people. None of it was ever reality. Like I stated in the previous video where I talked about my entertainment business, I already did a video on that about 6 months ago. So you can go back and watch that where I talk more about it, how I got involved in that industry and why I stayed in it long term and how it works for me. But it's literally just a high end business. It is a business dealing with mostly gentlemen because I work in gentlemen's establishments. And that was all that was ever going on in there. I have worked in numerous cities. I've traveled before and worked briefly in different spots. I've worked long term in several different areas as well. And the majority of the time I've worked, many of these establishments do not even allow that in their building. So that's never what I was up to. I was literally an entertainer about my money, about my business. I run in, I make my money, I leave. That's it. I don't hang out with people. I don't exchange information or phone numbers. It was very rare that I ever did that. There was only literally like a handful of people ever that I ever exchanged information with who I've met out of one of those establishments. And she had the whole thing misconstrued, and so did all of the people who assumed that about me. Because that's just a stereotype. That's not at all what's going on. Everybody who's an entertainer is not doing that. The people who are medium to high up in that industry would never be doing that. They don't have to. And they make just as much, if not more money than somebody who is. And it also depends on the area you work in, or sometimes people work in more than one area. But she lied to a lot of people about that and told people that's what was going on when that was never what was going on in my entertainment business, especially during the time when I was extremely sick. It wasn't even possible to do something like that. So it was very clear at that time that that was never going on. So I'm not sure why all these people believed her. But people did. And then they passed it amongst themselves and they passed it amongst the different people in the group, telling each other, what was going on and passing the information back and forth. And none of that was ever what was going on. So, those are just more delusions that was being told about me. It's just very sick and disgusting because at this point, she's basically marketing her adult child for sex, an adult child she has no contact, no relationship with. And none of that was ever reality. And then with how Tony Baloney had gotten different sex videos filmed, he believed he had the right to do that because he was told I'm somebody that I'm not. He was told I sell sex for a living. He was told that I'm addicted to sex, and he assumed because of who he thought I was, none of which was reality, that he could just go ahead and make these videos because I was unaware completely that he was filming them until after the fact. But if I wanted to keep my cover and not blow the whole lid off of how I was already gathering so much information on him, I couldn't freak out or break the phone or take the videos or do what I really wanted to do because it would have given everything in away and I wouldn't have gotten the further information that I now have to make arrests. So there's numerous people along the way. I'm not going to say all of their names, but I will say this to investigators because I'm filming separate videos to send to investigators, but I will state the names of all these people in those videos and send them to them. But the entire thing is very disgusting. What's gone on? That is not my only stream of income. It's just one of the long-term streams of income that I've had, as I've had many streams of income along the way. And several of them were very long-term. That was one of them. And at no time was I ever selling sex to anyone. So that's ridiculous. And people are just jealous and envious because of the level I'm on in life, what I've achieved on my own in the house that I live in. That was 100% paid for by me working and owning and running businesses while being criminally harassed and wiped out repeatedly. So I just wanted to clear that up real quick. I'll be back with more. Thanks. Bye.